to the Kamado Show. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Coley. We are the brother-sister anime duo. And not in a love you like a brother or sister kind of way, but as in go ask our mom, she's the same person.
This show is an anime lover safe haven catered toward the average anime lover, free from spoilers.
So this episode, we're going to be talking about the Netflix adaptation live action One Piece episode 7. So let's get started.
All right. So we're following Nami, right?
From the previous episode, we find out that Nami is kind of aligned herself with the Arlong pirates and takes off with them. So one difference that we spot kind of right off the bat, as they're kind of straying from the original story plot a little bit here with introducing the Arlong pirates so early. Actually, Buggy comes into play here, and instead of the two bounty hunter guys and
Johnny and Yosaku.
Yeah, so the buddies.
We just don't get them in the live action. They're just erased.
They're just not there. Yeah, but they were kind of Zoro's buddies. So in the anime, they were the ones who kind of led the way on where Nami was heading. But in the live action, Buggy is the one leading them with just the head.
Well, how else do you get to the island without their navigator, really? And then you've erased the two people who sort of guided them the first time. You've had to make either Luffy or Zoro or Sanji competent with directions, which maybe Sanji would have been the most likely one. If
I mean, it definitely wouldn't be Zoro.
Yeah, nor Luffy. Yeah, neither of them. So they, let's see, in the anime, they sail off on, I don't know if it's Sanji's ship or the Baratier ship, basically because Nami stole the Going Merry in the anime. Here Nami just went off with in the live action, I should say, Nami went off with the Arlong pirates, and so they still have their ship, the Going Merry. What else did we notice?
So in the anime, they actually sailed off on two ships, the Straw Hat crew. So they had one group, which was Zoro and Usopp, and one of the bounty hunters was on one ship. And then Luffy, Sanji, and I think one of the other bounty hunters was on another ship. So they kind of split up, and they both had very different experiences with their landing on the Arlong turf.
Yeah, the Usopp eventually just tied Zoro up, right? In the anime, just so he wouldn't go off and do anything stupid or crazy.
Yeah, his wounds need to heal. So if he has to tie him up, that's how he's got to do it.
As opposed in the live action, they're all just together and they just sort of casually on board, right? It's not a huge Usopp and Zoro and again whatever that bounty hunter's name, Johnny or Yasaku, I can't remember. I don't know which one the apart. They're just kind of like the same person, and yeah, they're just like the same extra in my brain. But anyway, so yeah, of course they sort of have run-ins with the fishmen pretty early on their landing, right? Whereas Luffy, Sanji, and the other bounty hunter, just kind of come
it's a little smoother
in.
Sailing.
Yeah.
Because Zoro's captured right away when they land. So the Arlong pirates take him and make him prisoner. And, of course, Nami releases him.
And you really lose that whole thing in the live action. The live action, when you see Arlong Park, it's sort of just this camera movement up into basically a almost kind of like a theme park or a kind of a, yeah, I don't know, what would you call it? Like maybe a theme park or midway.
Yeah, so they have like carny games there, and you even see the Buggy's body as one of the prizes.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a funny addition that they added there. But it's like carnival by day and nightclub by night. So of course there's always hip hop music playing.
Yeah, hip hop music, and Arlong is just kind of like bobbing his head. I'm over exaggerating, but just I guess they really all are. And the one just blasts fire from the whatever you call that thing, just
Yeah, that was a pretty cool addition. Like in this episode, it seems like Arlong is a lot more relaxed. He's not quite so serious as we've seen him in previous episodes.
Yeah, that was one of the comments I'd made in one of our earlier podcast episodes. I thought he was too serious, but now we're seeing that I think reflects the anime a little bit more, where he's got that maniacal laugh, like, and you get a little more of that laugh in this live action in this episode.
We see Nami playing poker with the fishmen pirates, and they accuse Nami of cheating, right?
Yep.
So what's her famous line?
We don't lie about money on this crew.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was the big phrase, like all throughout kind of the Arlong arc, that her promise with Arlong was, we never lie when it comes to money. Like, we're always going to keep our word regarding any deals with money. So, of course, her deal with Arlong was 100 million berries and the town will be free.
Did she say that exactly verbatim like that in the anime? Or is this the live action? She said that.
She says it in the live action, but her and Arlong talk about it in the anime together. I don't think she actually says it, but she does say, like, Arlong, like, can be a pretty reasonable guy when it comes to money. So she said things like that in the anime.
Okay.
But maybe not verbatim that you don't lie about money, but you get the gist.
Because
of
I know
it.
Arlong said that several times, not exactly like that in the anime. He says, actually, like, wrote this down, and I quote, "I'd rather cut my stomach open and die than break a promise concerning money." A few lines later, "I'm the kind of man who always keeps his promises when it comes to money."
Yeah.
But so anyway, I was trying to find here if Nami said that, but I mean, it's okay nevertheless. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I guess he did technically, interesting, even though he's kind of a bad guy, still honors that promise, sort of. Yeah. All right. So moving on.
Going into Nami's backstory here, we get to see 3 versions of Nami. So we see, like, of course, the current time period Nami as an adult. Then we see her as a child, age 10, supposedly, according to anime, which they don't specify in the live action, but she's 10 in the anime. So They had said in the anime after the flashback that it had been 8 years, so she's 18 at this point.
Okay.
And then in the live action, which I don't think we ever saw in the anime, was Nami, like, as a toddler baby type thing. So we got 3 different Namis for this episode. And I guess in correlation also then 3 different Nojikos.
Yeah.
Her
That's right.
sister, Nami's sister.
Yeah, I remember in the anime, I know there's a scene where you see Nojiko carrying Nami as a baby or infant. I think that's when their mom, what's her name? Bellamere. Saved them. Which I thought was interesting. They called her mom in the live action, right?
Yeah.
And then in the anime they call her Bellamere. I wonder why the change. Yes, they're really trying to reinforce that she's her mom. That message, which ultimately is when Bellamere dies.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they were just trying to build a stronger emotional connection between them. So of course you see them, like, growing up. They're all dirt poor. Bellamere is an ex-Marine. She found Nojiko and Nami as children.
Basically orphans,
and decided, well, I'm going to be their mom now. And so you get to see them making pinwheels out of the tangerine peels, which I thought was a cool touch to add.
Yeah, very cool.
Like, they didn't like specify as heavily on the mayor or sheriff of the town, Genzo.
Genzo.
his
Yeah,
name?
yeah.
They didn't really put much emphasis on the pinwheel on his hat, which you do see it.
Yeah, he had it
later
on, but it wasn't. Yeah, it didn't seem to stand out as much.
you didn't really
Scar
understand
guy.
the
Scar guy,
purpose.
as Luffy calls him.
Does he really call him that?
Yeah, he goes, "Hey, Scar guy." He first asks him what's going on.
Zero filter with Luffy. My
Yep.
gosh.
Yep. But yeah, he didn't have that big of a role in the live action, but maybe he will in the next episode, because we're doing these episodes as we're watching them along. So sometimes we say something and then the next episode you're like, well, okay, that had it in there. But at the time of what we're saying right now, so yeah, he was around when Arlong visited Nami's home in the anime, right? But
correct.
not in the live action.
Yeah, he wasn't
Okay.
there when they were doing their raid and demanding everybody pay their tribute, because Genzo was the one who lied to try to cover for Bellamere, because he knew she didn't have the money to afford to be able to pay for both herself and her 2 kids. So he was like, "Oh, I'm supposed to come over for dinner tonight, so that's why there's extra placemats there, that because she lives alone, no medical records indicate her ever giving birth or ever getting married."
And she could have gotten away with it too.
She just had to open her mouth and just be honest. She's just like, "I couldn't deny my kids. I love my kids. I can't pretend that I'm not their mom."
Well, on one hand, I see what they did and really shows and perhaps respect her for that. But on the other hand, I'm like, if you had lied, you would have had at least a little more time with your girls.
Lying in that instance probably isn't a bad thing.
Right.
It's okay to lie to really bad people who are intending to hurt you or kill you.
And maybe that's just the way One Piece is, where people are just so committed to an idea or something.
You always do the
just
right
stick
thing,
to it
no
no matter
matter
what.
what.
Even when throughout, at least in the anime, people try to get Luffy's crew to deny him being king of the pirates. They just will not deny it, and they're like, "We're gonna do blank 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 to you if you don't." They just stick to it. Now, unless it's Usopp would just totally say whatever to get out of anything.
He does enough lying for the whole crew. So.
Yeah, in the anime, when Arlong captures him, he's like, "I don't know anything to do with Zoro," and they're like, "Oh well, in that case, maybe we ought to." He's like, wait. Zoro and I are
Best friends.
Yeah. So it's just anyway, I'm getting off topic here, but back to Nami, Bellamere, and them. That's just funny the way her Usopp, and why don't you just thinking of them, why don't you just lie like Usopp? Would have just gotten you out of this easily, because they were already walking out.
Yeah, sometimes lying is the right choice.
When the anime, they were gone, already out. She's like, wait, those are my kids.
Lady, what are you doing?
You're free.
You're
out
home
of
free. Yeah.
it. Yeah. So anyway, so Luffy's crew, they're trying to understand this whole backstory and everything going on, what's going on with Nami. And Sanji has a smart, strategic way to sort of get them in with Nojiko and in her house, right?
One thing that I noticed is Nojiko isn't quite as friendly as what she was in the anime. She greets them at the door with a gun. And it's like, "What are you doing here? Get off my property. We don't want you here." And of course, Sanji smooths his way in and is like, "I'm a great cook. I can make you a lovely dinner for tonight." So he's earning his keep already. Starting off real strong, Sanji. Good job. And of course, he's the new guy, so he has to carry the clown head, as Usopp says.
Yep. And of course, Zoro'll stab at him too, where he goes, when he talks about cooking, he's like, "Yeah, he's a waiter." Just really, oh man, these two are already just
They're already at each other's throats. We do hear Sanji call him Mosshead already at this point too.
Yep. I think that was in the last episode. I think we heard it at one point.
He was on the boat at least.
Yep. I'm so glad they honored those little details, remembered those little details in this live action.
Yep. They still hate each other.
Yep.
Just like they intended.
Yeah. So we have a scene that happens in the live action that does not happen in the anime, right?
Yeah,
Going back to the
close.
Baratie, because we're basically, once they leave the Baratie, you really just don't see it after in the anime after they leave it again in the anime. But now we're going back to it in the live action. So we see
Garp and Kobe, and then the other little cadet guy.
Yeah, I don't remember his name either.
Axan Morgan's son. Yeah. They go there to interrogate Zeph and basically be like, all right, where did Luffy and his crew go? And Zeph, of course, like, is a former pirate. So he's like, you guys are my enemy. Why would I want to tell you anything?
Well, and Luffy stood up for him and his restaurant and his establishment. And of course, his son sort of is with them. So of course he's gonna
protect Sanji.
Yeah, exactly. But
so they discuss over a meal. They start sharing stories over steak and wine, and Zeph and the Marine Garp are still kind of going back and forth, like, you need to tell me what I want to know, and I don't know what you're talking about. And so Kobe and his cadet buddy go off to like the bar area, and they're doing shots. So they don't seem like they're old enough to be doing that.
I'm sure they're not, which is probably another reason why Kobe was hesitant to taking shots. But then the other guy, again, neither of us can remember his name. He's just like, what? You never do this? Come on. But he's like, we can't drink on the job. Like, just very, very like rule follower. Yep. But you could tell he's had a lot on his mind. The way he's just like, this whole thing with Luffy and Garb, their relationship is just really bothering him. So finally, he just lets loose and pounds 2 or 3 back, and then
admits it.
Yeah.
And says, "Yep, they're related. That's Garp is Luffy's grandfather, so that's why they're so hell-bent on capturing Luffy, not killing Luffy, capturing him."
But yeah, Kobe, then even though he had those shots in him and was talking about that, he was able to get some information about Luffy from the bartender there. So now they're probably gonna be hot on his trail again. Maybe this is a live action. The Marines, that's kind of a wild card. I don't know. We don't know what to expect with them.
You think the Marines will show up when Luffy's fighting the Arlong pirates?
I don't know. I think maybe they'll show up at the end, but I'm sure we're gonna see them in this final episode. The way this series is going, just pushing Kobe and Garb so much, like they almost have to be involved in this final episode somehow, I would think.
Yeah, I would agree that they're probably going to make their appearance there. But it was really cool to kind of get to see that interaction between Zeph and Garp.
Yeah, just two old guys who are, in that retirement age. Yeah, kind of reminiscing on the good old days. Of course, Garb's still hanging in there and stuff, and Zeph's sort of more like I'm retired attitude, sort of.
One thing that got under Garp's skin that Zeph had said was, Luffy reminds me of Gold Roger. Mm-hmm. And Garp was like, well, we saw how that turned out.
I don't want that same fate for Luffy.
And of course, he's like trying not to admit, yeah, that's my grandson. I don't want that same thing to happen to, and he like hesitates, that boy. So he's still trying to put the space between like what his real intentions are, why he wants Luffy to be safe.
As a Marine admiral, is that the right title for him? He doesn't want it known that his grandson is a pirate, and at the same time he wants to protect his grandson too. Yeah. Anyway, so why don't we get into some of the differences in the live action versus the anime? We could start off regarding Nami.
One of the major differences that I noticed was it seemed like none of the villagers and Nami's sister, Nojiko, didn't know about Nami's like real goal. They just all thought that she was this evil person who just betrayed them all.
Now in the anime, they pretend they were like that, but they knew.
They all
They
knew.
just pretended. So I don't know if like we're still gonna. I don't think so. I think they just in the live action they just didn't know. I don't think we have enough
Nojiko definitely didn't know.
Okay. 'Cause I don't think we have enough time to in this final episode to say, "Oh, we knew all along," and explain all this stuff. I think they just have to kind of just focus on Luffy, Arlong, and then whatever they're gonna do with Garb and Kobe and the Marines. They're probably gonna carve out like a fourth of the episode for them again, or something
just
like
to
that.
make something up with these Marines. It's like, man, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to get back to Luffy and his gang of what's going on. But we had already kind of touched on Genzo here with Nami and how Bellamere had saved her like as a baby instead of Bellamere saving her as a child.
And of course, we see Bellamere telling Nami the story or whatever, whereas in the anime, it was actually Genzo who told that when Nami got mad, got slapped across the room by Bellamere for yelling
"You're
something
not
at
my
her.
mom!"
Yeah, and then she runs away from home for the night, and Genzo is the one that tells her. But so anyway, I don't know, maybe that made the relationship between Nami and her mom, maybe that helped support that a little bit with the limited time we have in the Netflix series. I'm not sure why the change. But like you said, they sort of Genzo's role is not as pronounced. It's kind of like Mary's role. Like both of them, their roles were kind of
Really shrunk
minimized
down.
a bit.
We also notated that Nami in the live action, like after the Arlong crew came in and just like destroyed the place and robbed everybody, like Nami went and sought them out after basically watching them kill her mom in front of them and asked to join their crew in the live action, which that didn't happen. She was essentially kidnapped in the anime.
I think they saw her map drawing, right? And like, ooh,
Yeah.
we could use someone like this.
They said, "Oh, we're not kidnapping her. We're just borrowing her. We'll return her back safely. Like, nothing bad is going to happen to this girl. We just want her skills. So she becomes an Arlong pirate, whether she wants to or not." But in the live action, they changed that.
Makes it a little more dramatic with the villagers not liking her, sort of. I feel like they do little things like that, just and little changes here and there, just to kind of, do that little more thing, just to make something a little more dramatic.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. There's a little bit more emphasis of Nami never smiling in the anime, right? And they kind of just did away with that. Probably figured that wasn't as important.
Yeah,
in
I
here,
think
right?
so. Yeah. And then in the live action, Nami had the 1 million berry. In the anime, she was close to having it, but not quite.
I think she said like, I just need one more trip and then I'm done.
Yeah, in live action, Nami's like, "I have the money, Arlong, let's do it. Like, I'm buying the town from you. Let's do it." And Arlong's like, "Oh, well, we'll discuss it in the morning so he can do his evil plan, master plan." But,
Slimy.
yeah.
Kept his
Technically kept
didn't break his
word.
promise, but still
Yeah.
slimy.
Yeah. And the area where Nami opted to hide the money was different as well then. Nami actually hid the money in her mother's grave in the live action, whereas in the anime, she just hid it in the tangerine grove, which really upset her sister in the live action and caused a altercation between the two. How dare you desecrate our mother's grave?
Yeah. What other differences do we have from the live action and the anime concerning Nami.
One thing that I notated when watching it that I thought was kind of funny was how fast they had Nami running after they stole the money. I had notated Nami is the Flash.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was something how they did that.
I didn't know Nami ate a devil fruit. She ate the speed fruit, Need for Speed. She was so fast. Like, watch out, Usain Bolt. Nami's hot on your tail.
She's running, and of course she's like, Arlong, 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 and
just shaking because she's so angry,
man,
scratching at her tattoo, and starts going at it with a knife, just stabbing herself in the arm.
Emily Rudd, the actress who plays Nami, goddess, she did amazing.
She did an
role
incredible job.
Oh my gosh, that was.
That was so
you could just
emotional.
feel that just like in the anime, and then
just the rage, the anger. It's like just being so upset and devastated because it was all there, like right at the tips of her finger, and it all just got pulled away from her.
You really feel that. And of course, we get while it's not in daytime, it's at nighttime, like pretty much everything in this live action series. That's another difference we could have talked about, but
the sun's never up.
That's about it. It's just always night scenes and dark. But of course, then Luffy's there, right? And she's stabbing herself, and
he
of course,
catches
what happens
her
then?
arm, and they have that whole dramatic exchange, like, I told you to leave.
And he says, like, you have no business here, something like that. He's like, I know.
You don't understand what's going on here.
Nope, I don't. Just very short answers. I think he was waiting for her
To ask
to
for
say
help.
that word. Yep, I need help.
Yeah.
And then, you see this in the anime throughout, and even like looking ahead, like even Eni's lobby and all this stuff, where, he says like, once someone asks for help, then he's like, okay, I'm gonna do it then. But he'll sort of stand there until you specifically ask for it, and then of course
You gotta
he's like,
want it.
Of course, you're my friend.
And of course, he takes off his hat, puts it on her head.
Such an epic
loved
moment.
it.
And
Loved
in the anime, Nami has this flashback where she recalls all the moments of Luffy with his hat, saying like, "This is the most important thing to me," and all that. And then he just sits it on her head like that. So in the anime, she like really is like,
Wow, he's so serious about this.
Yeah, she just bawls because she like just knows like how far her captain is willing to go.
It was an
for her.
extremely emotional scene, like really makes you tear up. And then, like, of course, the other couple guys, they come out and are walking with them, and
Dun, dun, dun.
yeah,
Dun, 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 dun.
they're all walking and like they're doing their cool slow-mo walking pose, and like, all right, stuff is about to go down.
Yeah, of course they're playing the live action One Piece theme, the or I think
really
some
cool.
slow version of that, but
Yeah.
to replace the anime one. But okay, I think we have time for kind of the end of our episode. Maybe just really quickly, if you could join Luffy's crew, of course, knowing what we know now, would you?
I would. I think it would be fun to be part of Luffy's crew. Like, every day is an adventure. You have just cool people who are great, and Sanji is there to cook food for me all the time. So I think I would. What about you?
After this episode, yes, absolutely. You have a captain who will go to no lengths to protect you, and you even as you look back, especially in the anime, Nami thinks like, oh, I spent so much time smiling and happy with this crew, even though they drove me kind of crazy. I forgot about all my troubles. But what would you guys think? The audience, the viewers, I should say, what would you think? Would you want to join a crew as crazy as Luffy's and probably as stressful, or would you want to
Start
join it
your
for
own
the
crew.
fun and adventure, or start your own?
Let us know in the comments what you decide.
Yeah, we'd love to hear what you think. And Like I said, this is the end of our episode, so that's it for today's episode of The Kamado Show. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Coley. Thanks for tuning in. Don't be a Kamado. Like and subscribe to our channel for more anime fun with your favorite brother-sister anime duo.
Now, new episodes come out weekly, so let us know what you'd like us to talk about next, and we will see you next time on The Kamado Show. Bye.